While taking a train ride from Seattle to Phoenix one night on the Ziggy Tour, passing through the vast lands of the Rocky Mountain states, Bowie spotted some dome-shaped buildings in the distance, and their presence within the moonlit desert surroundings created an eerie scene in his mind. He envisioned a near-future post-apocalyptic world surviving an imminent nuclear war, and the vision rapidly grew until it became the world of Drive-In Saturday. What will this future be like, according to Bowie?
Let me put my arms around your head. Gee, it's hot, let's go to bed. Don't forget to turn on the light. Don't laugh, babe, it'll be alright. Pour me out another phone. I'll ring and see if your friends are home. Perhaps the strange ones in the dome lend us a book we can read up alone and try to get it on like once before. When people stared in Jagger's eyes and score like the video films we saw.
Well, first of all, it seems that there are some people who are living in domes and some who are not. The way I understand it, the domes are for the privileged, defending them from the nuclear fallout and enabling them to keep on living a healthy life, while the unprivileged are left out in the shroud. Those in the dome also seem to be in hold of all the knowledge, and occasionally they are willing to lend a book to the outsiders. The latter do have access to films and music, although they, too, are scarce. The insiders and outsiders are quite alien to one another, as we can suss from the outsiders calling the insiders the strange ones. For us, of course, the outsiders would look like the strange ones, as the dome dwellers probably look more like the humans of today. But the protagonists are the outsiders, and if we take this metaphorically, it is quite obvious that they represent the counterculture of the early 70s, which emerged out of the generational gap that opened in the mid-50s. One of the things that created the gap was that the youth was more into pop music, while the older generations preferred books. Bowie, unlike most of his generation, was quite the bookworm, and his songwriting took a lot from literature. Here, he seems to be warning the youth that if we continue to consume only music and movies, without books, we might end up spiritually dead, and at the mercy of the old world, the one we rebelled against. Going back into the imagery of the record, we can already sense a few strange things about the life of the outsiders. They have phones, but they have to pour them out of containers. Apparently, it is hard to have solid things in this world, presumably because they rapidly disintegrate. And there seems to be something awkward about the way they make love, putting their arms around each other's head instead of body, and turning on the light when they go to bed. In interviews, Bowie revealed that the point is that these people have forgotten how to have sex. Maybe those in the dome don't want them to reproduce, so they give them no instructions on how to do it. So now they are trying to teach themselves, and they use old movies and rock and roll records for sex education.
His name was always Buddy, and his shrunken ass this day. She'd sigh like Twig the Wonder Kid and turn her face away. She's uncertain if she likes him, but she knows she really loves him. It's a crash course for the ravers. It's a drive-in Saturday.
The drive-in, since the 50s, represented a magical place where you would go on the pretense of watching a movie, but actually to make out. But Bowie already undermined this picture in Life on Mars, where he portrays a girl that goes to the movies to actually watch them, because she hopes to get away from her life and find a new world. The heroes of Drive-In Saturday also watch the movies because they want to find another kind of life. But the other world that they are looking for is our world. There are no more future possibilities. There is only nostalgia for the past and attempts to revive it. The heroes of youth culture in the 50s and 60s have now become mythology, models of that ideal existence that the future kids hope for. The girl is mimicking Twiggy, and the boy calls himself Buddy, probably after Buddy Holly. The crash course for the ravers could be Holly's record Rave On, with its celebration of lovemaking. When the girl listens to this record and follows its instructions, she thinks she knows what love is, and that is how she knows that she loves the guy, when it isn't even certain that she likes him. Love, in this world, does not come naturally.
Young the foreman prayed at work. Neither hands nor limbs would burst. It's hard enough to keep formation amid this fallout saturation.
We learn some more about these people. In this world where solid things turn to dust, they are living in constant fear that their own bodies will burst, or change formation. The name Jung points ironically to Carl Gustav Jung, one of the leading lights in the school of psychoanalysis, which believed that the sexual drive is a fundamental force at the basis of the human psyche, and all our other traits are variations that come from it. What this science fiction story tells us is that the sexual drive itself is also nothing but a variation, something that we might lose one day.
Cursing at the astronet that stands in steel by his cabinet, he's crashing out with Sylvia, Euro supply for aging men.
Once again we encounter the mythologizing of rock and roll, and here Bowie turns himself into part of that mythology. The astronet was one of the characters in the Ziggy play he was planning. The fact that she stands in steel suggests a statue, which means that in the future, people will be making statues to idolize the Ziggy era. Drugs are probably still around as well, and the word Sylvian could be some sort of future drug that affects the brain, as there's a part of the human brain called the Sylvian fissure. And if our heroes are indeed living on what the people in the dome are giving them, then the Bureau Supply is probably the name of the department responsible for the distribution. All in all, it is a weird futuristic picture of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
With snorting head he gazes to the shore, where once it raged, the sea that raged no more, like the video films he saw.
Apparently, the sea had dried up, and the only proof of its past existence are the movies. Just like the sexual drive, something that you could once count on to rage perpetually has now been vaporized, fading into memory. Alright, so this is the world that Bowie envisioned that night in the desert. But what does it mean? Well, I believe this future tale is actually meant as a reflection of the present, late 1972 that is, an allegory for the state of youth culture. Combining futuristic sounds with 50s doo-wop, it is a look back at what we started from, and where we had come to. When youth culture began in the 50s with the orgiastic sounds of rock and roll, it was also the beginning of the sexual revolution, and the 60s made an ideology out of it, claiming that liberating the sexual drive from Puritan oppression would create a humanity that will make love, not war. The record takes us through stations in the sexual revolution. From ecstatic 50s records like Rave On, through the open sexuality of 60s idols like Jagger and Twiggy, up to T-Rex's lascivious Get It On and Ziggy's provocative promiscuity, but shows us that instead of becoming more loving, we have become jaded, and sex isn't as fun as it used to be. Furthermore, rock and roll gave the kids a voice, and when it merged with folk ideology in the 60s, it was seen as the voice of the common man finally having his say, and no longer being just a pawn in the game of the ruling classes. But here, we find that the people in the dome are still running everything, and decide for us what we'll read or listen to. Once, rock and roll seemed to present endless future possibilities. Now, all that is left is hopes to revive its past. Rock and roll and youth culture started out believing that they are presenting something real and solid, something that will never die. Drive-In Saturday prophesizes that it will all turn to dust.